You could sit and, be a success zombie, go to these masterminds, listen to the podcast and be like, yeah, okay, I get that. I know how to do that. Literally, nobody says anything different and hasn't for the last 30 to 40 years. They just say it in the way that makes sense to them, but nobody says anything different.
So we are live for episode 2 of the Dedication to Excellence podcast featuring myself, Eugene and I, on Instagram at _Eugenius, as well as my co-host and right-hand man, Dustin Reyna, at Dustin Reyna. My brother, 2 episodes now. We are on a roll. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. We got rockstar Alex, MD here. It's going to be a good episode.
Yes, sir, brother. And at this pace, we are going to be at our $100 million Spotify deal in like 3 weeks. Just watch. I can totally feel it. So, for those of you listening to the first time to our podcast, the purpose of this podcast is to not just inspire and motivate, but to give you real actionable steps and operational strategies from high achievers who have actually done the things we'll be discussing with them. Because once you're excited, folks, guess what? You actually got to go do some shit. So like Dustin mentioned here, for today's episode, we have the honor of having our very first doctor on the show. Well, I guess being 2 episodes in, everyone for a while is going to be a first. But this excites me because as a C student in school, if even that, who eventually went on to drop out of community college, I didn't really have many doctor friends. And now having gone the business route for the last decade, I still don't really have many doctor friends. So I'm excited to finally fill that void in my network. Today's guest is not only a doctor who was a family practitioner, has treated patients in over 20 countries, but he has also layered entrepreneurship on top of that, being the founder of Cellspark Regenerative Centers, Genesis Lifestyle Medicine. He's an Arete OG. If you know what that means, you know what that means. And hell, throwing an apparel brand in there as well. He's the founder of Thredz. So with that, Dr. Alex Spinoso, welcome to the pod.
Thanks. Awesome to be on with you guys.
Yes, yes. Or in the words of the eternal Bugs Bunny, what up, Doc? Sorry, I had to do it.
That's perfect. That's perfect, man.
So jumping right in, Dr. Spinoso, you fulfilled every parent's dream of becoming a doctor. And not only that, you were doing it at a badass high level. So when did the overachieving begin?
I think the overachieving began really young. My parents were, I was blessed enough to grow up in an awesome household. I don't have one of those stories where it's like, rags to riches and my parents were broken up or anything like that. No, I had 2 awesome parents. I grew up with a younger sister and they were always driving us to be better, pushing us to be better, pushing us to like improve ourselves as any possible. Really open family. And I think that's where it all started. And then as I got older, I just realized that, if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. Playing team sports or doing team things. And even in business, when you start to expand really fast or do things really fast, you have to realize, hey, you can't do everything alone. So having that lesson really early in life from my family was I think a big thing that I started to really think about.
Did your parents, because parents wants them to grow up and go and get good grades, become a doctor or a lawyer. So is that something that your parents intentionally had set for you, or is that something that you kind of decided on your own?
To tell you the truth, being a doctor was a fallback. I hated it for the longest time. I think it sucked. Yeah, I went to medical school in England. And the only reason I went to medical school in England because the medical school I was a part of allowed like a couple years out there in England and in Europe. And I only went over there so I could play soccer after college. I wanted to play semi-pro soccer. I wanted to play professional soccer. And there the teams are wide open. The leagues are wide open. So you can actually walk on to any of the teams, get registered to play at any level. So I started doing semi-pro soccer there and doing med school on the side because that was kind of like that was my reason for going over there and telling my parents I wanted to go over there. But then doing both at the same time, I started to really sacrifice both. I wasn't performing well in soccer and wasn't performing well in medical school. So it's like, okay, well, I got to choose one or the other. That's kind of the long-term play. And my dad taught me something really young when I was growing up, where everybody has that idea, hey, love something, and you do it and you love it every day. It's not a job, right?
Right.
That's fucking bullshit.
Okay.
That's the biggest load of horse shit I've ever fought. Like, if you're doing a job and you're building something incredible, like, you're gonna struggle half the days. And some of the days you're not even gonna want to fucking get out of bed to go to work. So my dad taught me when I was young, like, hey, you can either do things where you make a little bit of money and it's something that you really, really love and you might be able to provide for your family, or you could do something maybe you don't love as much and you are great at it. So you can make a shitload of money and then you can impact other people all that money and do whatever you want with that money on the side.
Mm.
And that stuck with me really a lot as a kid because, I didn't like being a physician at the beginning and it was kind of a means to an end.
Sure.
Like I didn't like working for, big medical systems. I didn't like the medical school. I didn't fucking like anything about it. I didn't like sometimes I didn't even like the patients. But as I grew and I started to realize that, hey, if I build my own thing, then I get to be the boss. Then I get to change the way medicine is done in the United States, the way we treat, medical assistants and other staff in a medical facility throughout the country. I could have control over that, and I get to build my own business at the same time. And so that's and the medical business is a very, very good business. It is a quality, lucrative business, and everybody needs a doctor at some point or another. So it's good when it comes to job security. So I realized, hey, this isn't all that bad, and just kind of changing my mindset and doing things a little bit differently is what I think helped me grow a lot with that.
Perfect. I want to dive a little bit further into that with coming from, MD, not liking it. And we'll go a little bit into mindset. What drives you through the day? What drives you to that next level? Is it more business these days? Obviously you have fulfillment in the clients that you assist and the clients that you help, but what is kind of the end goal that kind of keeps you going these days? Is it more just, you've got the discipline to, power through it each day, or, what's carrying you on?
No, I think it's kind of twofold. One, ever since a little kid, I wanted to be an actor, so movies were super impressionable on me. And anybody who's a kid will remember Troy. They'll remember like Braveheart. They'll remember Gladiator. I mean, most guys can pretty much recite those line by line that are our age.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that in the movie Troy, where Brad Pitt, Achilles, is talking to, I believe, his mother, where he knows he has two choices: either he goes to war, he fights, he knows he's gonna die, but people will remember his name forever, or he gets married, has kids, has a beautiful family, and nobody remembers his name forever. So he had a choice at that point. And I'm not saying like you don't have to get married or have kids and people will actually remember your name, but I'm saying that I have this desire to want to be remembered. 99% of legacy. 99% of people are completely forgotten when they leave. Even the top people in the world to the pages of time and stories and stuff like that. And if I could survive as long as possible after I die, I mean, then I will have done something that is really worthy of helping a lot of people. And I think the second part of it is, like I said, with MAs and other medical personnel, is that when you go through the medical system traditionally, you get shit on. Like it's that feeling like, I went through it, so you have to go through it. And that feeling carries into your job. And like Eugene said at the beginning, hey, you made it. You're a doctor. Well, that's the attitude that a lot of physicians and medical people have. Hey, I made it. I could sit here and do nothing. And, everybody thinks I'm awesome. Well, that wasn't good enough for me. I was sitting, I had a good job, a government job. I had a great wife, I had a dog, I had a house. And I looked around and I was like, this fucking sucks. It was the same shit every day. Like, and everybody's like, well, can't you be happy you made it? I haven't made shit. I haven't impacted other people's lives at all, other than the patients that come in to see me. I haven't grown at all. I haven't pushed myself at all. So I think I built the companies that I built right now, the medical companies, I built it for, my staff, my MAs, the NPs, the people who are shat on every day and told they're not worth, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. People that they're told constantly they're not worth that. So I built it for them. They have huge opportunities here, and all my clinics and all my staff has huge opportunities to expand and grow, not only personally and professionally, but in their financially as well. And so I think that was a big part that I could see is totally missing from the medical field. That's an opportunity for me to change a lot of people's lives.
If I could dive a little bit deeper there, and I love how your mindset is all about legacy. I find that to be a common trait among high achievers. Is it's not about them, it's about the people they reach. And one of my favorite quotes that I forgot who said it or what ancient proverb this is, but you die twice. You die when you physically leave the earth, and you die when your name is forgotten. So the goal is to not, obviously we can't live forever. Now with your services, we can definitely prolong our living, but we can't live forever. But the goal is to build something that can long outlive us. So I love the way you think. And I just kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into your mindset of changing the medical industry. Because when I hear that from the outside listening in, obviously there's a lot of inefficiencies within the medical industry. So I don't know if that was something you were referring to, or when you explain to somebody how you envision the medical industry improving because of your work, what does that look like on the back end?
I think what it looks like is a lot of prevention. You look at obesity statistics, hypertension statistics, diabetes statistics, any of these, the top 5 that are really killers of people, they've grown over 1,000% over the last 10 years minimum. And they're on path to, I think it was something almost 40% or around 40% of people will be obese by the year 2030. 40% of America will be obese. I mean, that's unreal. That's absolutely unreal. So we are focused more on going to the doctor when we get sick. Period. Yeah. You get sick, you go to the doctor.
Give me a pill.
We should be focusing on going to the doctor or going to medical clinics before we get sick. Yeah, exactly. We should be focused on taking care of ourselves, taking care of our body, on our, exercising, drinking adequate amounts of water, eating fruits and vegetables, or doing whatever diet, exactly. There you go. Doing whatever diet works for you, and taking care of your own immune system, your own body, because then you can fend off the disease or any disease that comes at you. Then you're going to recover better if you have to have some sort of surgery or things like that. Then you're going to live longer. I mean, all this has been studied and proven. It's not something that is, this is, they call it alternative medicine, what I do, because it's not taught in traditional medical schools. The hormone.
And why is that? I mean, is it because of the big pharma conspiracies, or from your?
I mean, it could be partially because of that, and there are a lot of stories of drugs out there that were pushed in the old days because you could pay doctors a lot of money to push certain drugs. But doctors, I mean, people think that that's still true. Doctors don't get paid for pushing drugs. Doctors don't get paid for reimbursed for the amount of flu shots or drugs that they do. Like, they don't get reimbursed for any of that shit. That's like the companies that get that. So it's not physicians or anybody. It used to be, like 30, 40 years ago. But there's been a bunch of laws that changed. I mean, by the time I went through residency, you couldn't even take a pen from a pharmaceutical rep without somebody trying to get you like in trouble for it.
Wow.
So that's the way it is now. And I think the other problem is that once you have textbooks out there that are so ingrained in one area of medicine, it's hard to obviously build textbooks and go into traditional schooling and change it. Mm-hmm. People don't like change, period, as it is. And if your facility is run by older professors or people that haven't done different types of medicine or don't want to try different types of medicine or are not on the cutting edge, like some of these bigger teaching hospitals are, then you're not going to get taught the new age stuff. So I think it takes about, I read an article, it takes about 7 years for a medical truth that we know in our offices, say, to make it into an actual publication where medical students and, residents and other physicians will learn about it. It's about 7 years, about a decade behind medicine always is.
Wow.
You got my head like just, so how do we, I mean, the easy question to ask is, so how does this get fixed? Like, what is the kind of work you're doing to make sure that we rectify this?
I think it's to solve probably 90% of the problems on earth is just education.
Yeah.
You just need more education. People need to know what's there, need to know what's available to them. People need to know how to pay for healthcare, or if they can't pay for healthcare, how to get healthcare, how to take care of themselves. People need to be educated about food and what they eat and what they drink, and how they think and their mindset and everything like that. People don't a lot of people don't consume educational materials. They'll sit on the news all day long watching a bunch of shit that's going to tell them they're going to die and woe is me, or
Yeah.
Big Brother, or some sort of TV show that's just mind-numbingly boring because people love misery. Misery loves company. However, when it comes to the medical field, I think it's a lot of education and teaching people what we do, and that they don't have to age in a really poor way.
Which of course has been the focus of your practices. Maybe if you wouldn't mind just kind of diving deeper into how you personally are addressing this within the population, like with some of the services
Yeah.
you offer that are considered alternative, but I mean,
Yeah.
like your point, should probably be the mainstream, but aren't. So educate us.
Yeah, pretty much everything we do in our clinics is considered alternative. I didn't learn any of it through my traditional medical school, through my residency, even through my job in the real world for a long time. I always was reading about it, learning about it on my own time, but never had any formal training during any of those times. And so what we do is a lot of kind of everything. We have probably like 50 plus services, but the biggest things that we do to really help people age well is hormone therapy. So, on average, after the age of 35, 40 in females, 35 in males, almost everybody's hormones start to just taper off. Now, we attribute that to stress, kids, life in general, and aches and pains we come up with, and we say that's normal. Well, that's not really normal aging. That's you dying. I always tell people,
Mhm.
hey, life isn't short. Death just takes fucking forever. Pretty
I
much
like
by the
that
time
perspective.
you're 20 to 25, you're done growing, then you just start dying. Our purpose is to get yourself to be as healthy as possible to where you die as slow as possible. That's how you outlive everybody else.
Yeah.
So
Hear that,
making sure
people?
you
Don't die.
don't die. Yeah, dying is bad. So the
Write that
biggest thing
down.
is taking care of your body so that you don't have breakdown of your cells, breakdown of what's called your telomeres. Your telomeres are tiny little things that get shorter as we age. So if we can keep telomeres as long as possible, then you stay older, or you can live to an older age. So it's a bunch of different things where it's we have diet plans and exercise plans. We have hormones. We do not only weight loss therapy, but weight loss counseling and stuff like that. Um, and then we do chronological age testing as well. And then we'll do other things where if people start to have aches, pains, joint issues, we'll do knee injections, joint injections, spine injections, for like rotator cuff tears or meniscus tears in the knees, or different things like that. And we do a couple different ways. We'll either do traditional medicine when it comes to certain products to inject into the knees for pain, but
Is
we
this
also
where
do
the stem cells come into play? Because I saw there was some
ex-
stem cell
uh,
stuff.
this is where we do autologous stem cells as well. So we'll take stem cells from your own bone marrow, we'll spin them down, and we'll put them into areas of the other areas of the body. And those stem cells are already programmed to heal you as fast as as your body possibly can. So putting them in a different area and having them perform the same function that they normally would, it's allows your body to heal faster.
Can you speak? Because I know stem cells historically have been a controversial subject, which I've never really
Yes.
looked at the two sides of the debate. So could you
Yeah.
maybe summarize that debate and
So
your perspective on it?
yeah, so the FDA doesn't like the word stem cell at all. They've actually changed a lot of the rules this year. So when it comes to traditional stem cells, you can actually get stem cells from five different parts of the body, either fetal or embryonic stem cells. There's umbilical, placental, amniotic, and then there is allogeneic, or from like other products. So the biggest thing that the controversy that you hear about with the Planned Parenthood and all that stuff, those are fetal or embryonic cells. Those are from the aborted fetuses, things like that. That's been illegal in the US for about 30 years to get cells from those types of products. Nobody ever does it anymore. We have never been involved in anything like that. But that's what you hear, is that stem cells are very, very controversial because of that. It's from that whole era of when they were actually using, baby parts and stuff like that, embryonic cells for research. And they just shut down San Francisco. UCSF had one of the largest embryonic stem cell research centers, and I think it just got shut down last year, the research centers. But all over the world, they still do it. When it comes to all the other types of stem cells, those are still being done as well. They're legal. Usually after a mother gives birth to healthy babies, they donate their placenta or their umbilical cord to stem cell banks, and then these banks will take those cells and then provide them to other physicians.
Yeah, we
don't do that anymore. We do autologous. So we'll take them from your own bone marrow and put them into another area of the body so that they're yours and they're programmed the same as your body already is.
And then they just heal you. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, well, they do what they're supposed to. They do. I mean, honestly, all the nitty gritty of the science still is like yet to be found. I mean, we found only a few, 3-4 years ago, we found that inside the stem cells are something called exosomes, and exosomes are what really drive a lot of healing processes and stuff like that. But there's a lot of rules where, because it's a secretion from a cell, it's considered a drug by the FDA, so you can't really use them. So there's a whole bunch of rules and dark stuff behind the scenes when it comes to the regenerative field. So we try and stay on the up and up, and just exactly what's allowed by, the FDA and what's allowed by, certain insurances and things like that.
Sounds like there's a lot of technical stuff to learn, which is why I never became a doctor. Sorry, mom and dad.
Yeah.
Maybe we can shift gears a little bit here, because I would like to hear now about the nuts and bolts of actually building what you have built. So did you actually start off practicing in the way you do now, or were you more of a traditional doctor, if you will, who kind of converted over, or how did that look?
No, I got the sweetest job ever, man. I went to work in a prison.
Oh, nice.
Dream job.
So I lived in California at the time, and when I graduated, I was looking for a job that was super high pay and super low amount of hours to work. So I got a job in a prison working 4 days a week. I was compensated really, really well. Loved it because I wanted to do a lot of sports medicine, and all they do all day long is MMA fight each other and, play sports. So lots of broken bones, ankles, lots of stabbings and stuff like that. So it was always exciting. It was always something different every single day. I did that for probably about a year and a half before I realized, I thought, I made it. I'm going to stay here for 20 years. I got a government job. I'm going to retire by the time I'm 50. And it'll be sweet, man, working 4 days a week for 20 years. And like I said earlier, a year and a half into it, I had the wife, had the dog, had the house, doing the same thing every day. And actually, at that time, I was a Legionnaire with First Form. I still am, but I started listening to a lot of Andy's podcasts. And one of his stories he got on after he had talked to a group of ophthalmologists, which are eye doctors. And he said that, his speech fell flat. It was the worst speech he ever had, because he was talking about improving yourself and pushing yourself beyond limits to a bunch of very successful people who had made it. And they felt like they had made it
in their eyes. Yeah.
And so he had said, when you become complacent, complacency equals death.
Yeah.
And that's what clicked in me, that I was like, fuck, that's why I hate this so much. It's complacency. I mean, I got great house, great life. I mean, what the hell's wrong with me? And it was complacency. I was not growing. I was not doing anything new. So I literally came home after that, and I told my wife, hey, we're moving out of our house because I want to build a business. And she's like, okay. So we literally moved out of our 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. that we bought, and we moved into a 1-bedroom. We rented a room inside a house, 5-bedroom house. We had 4 roommates, so it was 5 bedrooms. We had 4 roommates, and we rented a room inside that house and rented our house out for vacation.
Was this because you were kind of already you were foreseeing like the financial projections of what needed to be done, and so you
Yep.
got it.
Exactly. So I was like, hey, if in order to build a business, you got to have money, right? I mean, this was really rudimentary. I was like, I don't know how much money you got to have, but you got to have money, and I don't got any fucking money. I'm saving, but I don't have a lot. So, I mean, I worked 3 full-time jobs pretty much, burning the wick at both ends, working nights and days in the hospital, renting out our house. And we lived with our dog in this tiny little 1-bedroom. And it wasn't even a 1-bedroom. Our first room in that house, it was a 5-bedroom house. The first room that we moved into was actually the foyer. So it's one of those houses where you walk in and there's like the dining room on one side,
Yeah.
and like a little like mini living room that nobody knows what the fuck to do with on like the other side. And we lived in that little front dining room. Like,
Wow.
we went down to Home Depot and got like tall 8-foot plywood, and I put that up in the front so it looked like a door. You had to slide it back and forth, and we put all our shit in that foyer, and we lived there for about 6 months. And then when somebody in the house moved out, we got to move up to the master bedroom. And shit, that was high living. We had our own bathroom. We had our own bathroom. It was bougie in
Love
there.
it, man. Living that high life. So how did you structure that? So you're working 3 full-time jobs, or the equivalent of 3 full-time jobs, but you have an idea for a business. So what did that plan look like? Was it like hey, in 6 months I'm gonna fully transition? Who did you call? Who was your partner in this? Like, what was your business model? Like all this. I want to know all of this.
Yeah. So when I started, I actually had no idea what the hell I was going to do. I thought I wanted to do urgent cares because I worked in an urgent care at the time. And looking around, I was like, man, this is really easy to set up. I could set this up. It's not that hard. There's just like little pieces here and there. That was before I knew all the backside of a business. But I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I wanted to build an urgent care. So I started to save up money for an urgent care. I joined, this was in February, March of 2018, February, March 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Arete came out that May. And I was saving up money at the same time to attend First Form University, because Andy kept talking about, a university that he was going to create for business. It was going to be a week long. You're going to come in and learn everything there is to know about business. And then that whole thing went silent, and found out later it was because he was building Arete. When Arete was released in, May or June, I was like, fuck, I'm never going to get into this. It was my first mastermind that I applied for. I was like, I don't know anything about this. I don't even own a business at this point. But whatever, I applied during the 15-minute break of a concert that I was at, just punched things in. And then I got the acceptance, and I had to sit my wife down, because at that time we had saved up about $100,000 for the business. And I was like, hey, I got to spend, I don't know what it is about this thing, but I think I got to be a part of it. And, it's half of our savings that I've saved up for the business.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for my wife, like, I would not be where I am today, period, because I would have not joined Arete. I would have not met my business partners. I would have not built any of my companies, because she said, you don't really spend a lot of money on yourself or anything. So if you think this is something you got to do, then this is something you got to do. And this is a woman married to a 32-year-old doctor that had to move her. You thought, man, I marry a doctor. All her friends still think, she married a doctor. She's rich. Nah, she's just poor as fuck. So, but she moved out of our house, little 1-bedroom apartment for me. She quit her job for me. She moved to support us, like food and just cooking during the day and shit like that, taking care of the dog. She moved to Vegas with me when I was like, hey, we're moving to Vegas. She's like, okay. And she told me to join Arete. So if it wasn't for her, none of this would be built, period. I know that for sure. So today to do it, I joined. And I went in there with the whole concept of, you know what, I got no business sense being in here. I don't know the first thing about fucking running a business. But what I do know is I know a shitload about healthcare, and I know a shitload about what I can get, I can give these people that. And that's all I did. I gave people, if they had a medical question, they asked me. If they needed something to be done, I did it. If they, needed help with diet or exercise plans or whatever, I helped them out. I just gave and gave and gave and gave, and I knew like it would come back at some point.
For sure.
I had fights with my wife about it. I had fights with my parents about it. Like giving, it wasn't always money. It was just time, focusing on time and being on calls and being, text messaging people at random hours to help them. And, it started to really come back in beginning of 2019. So we're about into Arete for almost a year now. And I sat with another one of the Arete OGs, Brent Messer, and he told me about his medical clinics. He had at the time, I think 6 or 7 medical clinics. And he had a really old medical director. He was looking to, they were about 8 years old, the whole group. And he was looking to get it to the next level. And he said, "Hey, do you want to be my medical director and work for me?" And I was like, "Fuck no." I joined this group because I don't want to work for anybody else. That's the whole reason. Like, I'm building my own business. I don't want to work for anybody else. And he's like, "Why don't we just like become partners?" And I was like, "Well, now you're talking my language." So he offered me equity in his company, and in exchange I gave him equity in the company that I was going to build. And I knew he had already built medical companies before.
Nice.
So I focused on the medical side of it and doing that. He is business only. He's not medical. So he knows he's been doing it for decades. So he knows all the backgrounds and all the little connections we had to make and things to set up here and there, and, negotiating leases and all that. Like, he was a fucking pro at that. So we melded together really, really well. And from that conversation, I think that was in the second Arete meeting, probably in January or February. We started talking more and more. By the May Arete meeting, we pretty much had details hammered out of what I was going to do. I was still working three jobs at this time, going to those Arete meetings, still living in that little house or that little rented bedroom, saving up, just saving and saving and saving and saving and saving. And then I started going out to Las Vegas in July, every other weekend, looking for a location. We found a location. We built a location. We moved, opened the business, all within 30 days. And August 1st, 2019 was our first clinic.
Wow.
And I didn't know everything. I still didn't know shit about running a business. I didn't know. I just learned from Arete meetings. I learned from podcasts. I learned from everything I could get my hands on. And that just really.
You took action. I
just did it.
Action.
And I was scared shit, man. I quit all 3 my jobs. I moved to a different state. I sold my house. And I was just like, I burned the boats, man. People say, "Oh, always have a plan B or whatever." I burned the boats. There was no going back.
Yeah, no plan.
How much of a financial runway did you have, if you don't mind me asking, when you decided?
I knew that that my wife and I could live the same lifestyle we were living, which wasn't a very glamorous lifestyle, but I could feed my dog.
And still keep your own bathroom.
For about 6 to 8 months. 8 months to 10 months if I was like super lean, but 6 to 8 months. And that's going like full bore. If I had gone like half time, I would have needed obviously a lot less money, but I was moving to a whole different state. And I just decided to go, and I was actually interviewing at a couple places out here to do part-time out here. And I just made a decision one day and said, "You know what? I got 6 months. If I can't fucking make it in 6 months, I did something fucking wrong." And I jumped everything, and I was like, "Let's do this full bore."
Amazing.
No plan B, burn the boats. That's definitely. Is this right about the time that you found some scaling issues?
So we opened August 1st. This was early. So August 1st, we opened the first Las Vegas clinic. I would say August 15th, we opened Scottsdale. And then September 1st, we opened Denver.
Wow.
And I was working all 3 of those with one staff member, just me and her, at the same time, flying to all these places, seeing different people, doing seminars in these places, trying to get these people in, treating them, trying to do follow-ups. And the problem was, like I said, I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't know structure. I didn't know scalability. I didn't know capital. I didn't know any of that. And so we actually almost bankrupted the business due to choosing bad marketing, as well as like expanding too fast in October of 2019, just last year.
Wow.
Like we almost just ran out of money, and I had to pull some of the capital out that I had sold from my house and like shove it into the business and be like, breathe life, because I made bad decisions really early on. And that's when we decided to, hey, let's close up shop in Denver. Let's close up shop in Scottsdale and make sure we really focus on one clinic, build it out to where we really want it to be. And Las Vegas still isn't there to where we really want it to be, but it's close enough to where we can start building the others and expanding really fast, because we have a good baseline. We built a good training platform, a good way of rolling these clinics out, a good marketing plan. And now we can move 10 times faster.
That's great. So yeah, it looks like, throughout your entire process, you've leveraged the knowledge and information of other people. And that's where, you plugged in the holes in your system by going to the people that knew that. So like your partner, Arete, Ryan Stewman, piecing all those together.
Absolutely. I think that's like the most important thing is, you could sit and, be a success zombie, go to these masterminds, listen to the podcast and be like, yeah, okay, I get that. I know how to do that. Literally, nobody says anything fucking different and hasn't for the last 30 to 40 years. They just say it in the way that, makes sense to them. But nobody says anything different. If you just take a podcast that you learned one lesson and just implement that lesson, it's speed of implementation. Bedros Keuilian says this, speed of implementation. He says he always wins because he implements faster than anybody else. And that's what we've done is take the Elon Musk platform where he says, figure out what you want to build in 20 years and do it in 6 months.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go, you drown and you go and you drown and you go and you drown and you go and you just keep fucking going, because you're never going to be, things are never going to be perfect. You're never going to, you're going to make mistakes along the way. You just make corrections. Because if you try and plan for everything that's going to go wrong, then you'll never get started. So you just go, just do it.
Move fast and break shit.
Yep. That's 100% right. Move fast, break shit, fix it on the way.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So you were kind of sharing with us, but maybe sharing with the audience, like now that you have this strategy and process in place, what is the future of your practice and like the timelines and kind of just give us a little glimpse to the future here, maybe the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So my original goal when I told my business partner was like, hey, I want to build 100 clinics. And we have in some of the clinics a smaller third business partner. And he's like, well, that's a little bit crazy. But I'm like, fuck it. I think we could build 100 clinics in 3 years. And we're like a year into it, and I think we have like 11. So we got ways to go. But we're getting faster and faster, and we're putting things in place to where we know that we can easily build the 6 clinics in 6 months that we're doing right now. We wanted it up to at least 2 clinics a month. And we know we're putting things in place now, and things are about to be released in our program within the next, I would say, 60 days. That's a real possibility to be able to do at least 2 a month. And so our goal is to build out, we have 11 now. Our goal is to build out to anywhere between $30 to $50 million a year in revenue, which is very, I don't want to say easy. It's difficult, but in the medical field, you can get there much faster.
Yeah.
Our clinic here is a 7-figure company and was in 10 months. So it's just running them and getting them to the point where they're all running on their own and expanding as fast as possible, having 100 clinics, and then being able to either sell those off, because that's the goal of every entrepreneur, is to build a business big enough to be able to sell and do a bunch of other things with that money and help other people out. or keep it and just continue to grow it and expand it and go that way. So we have two different options. We have, you know, the exit option or the, hey, sit tight and just continue to build what we're building option.
How did the to kind of shift gears a little bit, where did the apparel line just pop up out of nowhere amongst this timeline? Because by the way, he runs a clothing company.
Yeah, that was at the same time. So the head CEO of that company is my business partner, Louis Chapa. He was a OG Arete first year as well. So I will tell you the most business partners, and I still say I won the most out of anybody in Arete because I went in there with 0 businesses. I left with 3.
And an appearance on our podcast. Come on, let's be real.
An appearance on your podcast, pretty much. I would not be on this podcast if it wasn't for that. So in late 2018, actually, was it late 2018 when we were in Arete, about 6 months. I know Louis called me up and was like, you know, he's like, I don't really like the whole medicine thing either. Like, do you want to do something else? And I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do something else. He's like, what about apparel? And I'm like, apparel sounds like difficult, because we have some friends that are in apparel, and they, you know, it's a fucking hard business. Apparel is. And we didn't know anything about apparel at all. And I'm like, well, let's think about it. You know, we talked to some friends and we decided, hey, you know, there's no real apparel company, medical scrubs that are ran by physicians. They're ran by a nurse, a designer, some other people, but there's no physicians that are running these companies.
Because all the physicians are being busy having made it to, you know, do anything else. So
yeah, having made it, they don't want to grow. So they're done, man. They don't need to build no companies. So he's a MD as well out there in Texas. So we're like, yeah, let's do this. We didn't know shit about it. Like, literally, we started to look at companies to create our, you know, we came up with ideas off Google and some drawings that we had sketched together. And I lived in, you know, Southern Cali. So I went out to LA to the fashion district. Louis flew out with our third partner, Paul. And we met in the fashion district. We went down to a couple designers that, you know, could or had on their website that they could build some scrubs or create scrubs for us. And man, it was something out of a cartoon, dude. We walked into this place and this Swedish dude wearing a full fucking Swedish national team soccer outfit, jersey, kappa pants, long blonde hair, like out of a Eurovision movie. He was the most Swedish dude ever. Was like, hey, so welcome to the designing. And so we sat there for about an hour. We went through all these designs, and he was like, these are the best. You are going to look very good in these scrubs. They will be so nice with this material. And so, like, for literally an hour. And at the end of it, we're like, okay, we like this type of material. How long before you can make us scrubs? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we want to choose this material. How long before you can like produce a concept of it? And he's like, you're so silly. No, I don't do any of that. I sell the fabric. Like, you have to go and get somebody to make that for you.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, what? So we didn't realize, but most most clothing companies, they don't do everything under one roof. Most textiles are done under like 5 or 6 different companies. Like, you get the actual material from one company, that material gets tested by another company, that material then gets cut and sewn by another company, and then labels and manufacturing then is another company. So we didn't realize that. So we left there completely, you know, downtrodden, like, wow, this was a huge waste of time. And so what do? We went on google.com and we typed in how to build a medical scrub company. And I wrote down I wrote down the 20 steps that I found on there. And we followed those 20 steps. We found a manufacturer that can do everything from beginning to end in China at the time. We're looking to change over to Thailand now, but in the foreign country, we communicated with them over, you know, the internet, which was very difficult because it's completely opposite of us. We came up with a price. They sent us we sent them pictures of everything that we wanted and drawings. they came up with a sample within 6 weeks of us contacting them. And within 3 months, we had a full order on its way shipped from China to us. This was in April. It arrived in May of 2019. May or June of 2019. At that time, we had hired a company to build out the website and get all the shopping, Shopify,
and has that become like its own sustainable like running organization now? Like, is that a viable business, or is this just kind of like a little side project now?
It's still a side project, but it's getting bigger and bigger. We knew that going into a business like that was a side pet project that's going to take years, especially in the clothing industry. You're looking at years. It's not like you can open a clothing store and, make 7 figures in 12 months. Unless you're a big name and like you got millions of followers and you do it, okay, yeah, then. But if you're a no name and you're just trying to get into it and build a brand, it's going to take years to do it. Live Fit took years. Till You Collapse took years. All those companies, Gymshark, they take years to build that big. And we knew that going in, especially if you're niched in the medical field. Only. Yeah.
But you've injected the ultimate growth hack, which is being a guest on our podcast. So, no doubt you're going to go.
I'm waiting for the phone to blow up, man. I got it on Do Not Disturb right now because I'm sure the calls will be pouring in.
Yes, love it, man.
But yeah, we launched August 1st with the company Cellspark and Genesis in Vegas. It all launched the same week.
Let's go.
So it was a culmination. It was a culmination of a year's worth of work. Yeah, it was like a year's worth of work. Yeah.
So there's our crash course, Justin. We just got to Google how to get Elon Musk as a guest on our show, and there you go.
Yeah, that's literally, dude. That's literally. I have made so many connections by just reaching out, and you never know what they're gonna fucking say. You have no idea. When it comes to learning something, people are like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." Fucking Google it. Literally, there's gonna be at least 20 videos on it, and probably 20 blog articles on how to do that exact thing that you want to do. Probably dumbed down to a language that you can understand.
But unfortunately, that's a simple answer that no one wants to hear. That requires putting in some work. But hey, I know we're coming up on time here, so maybe Dustin, I know you typically got some rapid fire questions. Maybe you want to just throw out a few, then we can wrap up with a final thought, and then
I've just been talking. I've been talking too fucking.
No, you're good.
Shut up,
great.
Shut up, dude.
I'm gonna go be a doctor now.
Right. So I think, we'll just do a couple rapid fire, and we like to finish off with one final question. I'd say,
okay,
you've got obviously your 3-year plan. Is this your end game to build this up to, let's say, an 8-figure, 9-figure company and then sell it off? What's your goal after that if you were to do that?
Yeah, I have no idea what my goal after that would be.
Just run with it.
I'm just running, and I know we have a company that can build really fast and really large, and I can run with it for the next decade. But if we sell before that, I've got friends involved in all different types of things. From we looked at my business partner and I work really well together, so we're already getting into real estate and stuff like that. So we'll probably do some real estate.
Get that beachfront.
We'll probably do some housing and stuff like that. Exactly. And look into other things that just would be something that interests us as fun. But we also have that knowledge there when it comes to building medical facilities and how to do it. So we might do consulting with that and training with that and do something that's tied to that, because they always say if you know how to do something, never do it for free. Exactly. So helping out other companies build as well.
So I've got 2 more. One is if you were to name one person that had the most effect on your success or your progression in life, or mentor, who would that be?
I would say 2. It's both my parents.
Great answer. Yep. Yeah.
Period. Like I said, I didn't have a broken home. I'm not one of those rags to riches stories. My parents were fucking phenomenal, and they pushed me to be phenomenal every day, and they never let me slack off when they knew I could do more.
That's awesome. Great. Accountability. That's the number one thing you can teach. And I'll finish off with our final question here. We do, being the Dedication to Excellence podcast, we do like to dive deep into, what it truly means to be dedicated to excellence. So in your mind and in your life, what does it mean to be dedicated to excellence?
I think when it comes to being dedicated to excellence doesn't always mean that, you're always going to be excellent.
Ooh,
Period. I mean,
sadness.
like, you are going to be terrible at a lot of things, and you're going to be honestly terrible at everything that's new to you. Period. That's just how it is. And that doesn't mean you stay terrible for long. It could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year. But if you're constantly pushing yourself to learn more and doing the work and dreaming big and focusing on, hey, I read a line and it stuck with me, and I tell my staff all the time during the day, is that excellence is the next 5 minutes.
Ooh.
That's it.
Yeah.
Next 5 minutes, be excellent in what you're doing. Be excellent to each other. All you older guys will get that one. But next 5 minutes, just be excellent. Okay, you're done with 5. Next 5 minutes, just be excellent. They have the same saying in the Navy SEALs that I've heard from, my friend Ryan Williams, who went through it, and, the Jocko Willing podcast and stuff like that, is that I'll quit tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll quit tomorrow. Be excellent for the next 5 minutes. If it sucks today, you know what? Fuck it. Tomorrow, I'll quit.
Tomorrow I'll quit.
Just compounding. Yeah. Just be 1% better every day. It's just the small things. It adds up.
Big time.
Oh,
it adds up big time.
And it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an absolutely beautiful way to end the show. I guess one last thing is where can people find you online? How can people follow your journey and your work?
Instagram, just Alex Spinoso, SPINOSO_MD. Same name for Facebook as well. Either way.
Very cool. Well, Dr. Spinoso, again, thank you so much for your time. I am excited to have somebody I can consider now a friend that's actually a doctor. So mom and dad, sorry, I never became one, but at least I can hang out with doctors.
That's cool.
Kind of
I got you.
Hey, brother, appreciate you. Everyone listening in, if you like what you hear, definitely show us some love, leave a review, follow us on social media once we launch our social media page. And tune in next week. We'll have another great guest to be announced. So with that, everybody, stay dedicated to excellence, and we will holler at you on the next show. Peace.
Have a good one, guys.